Imagine living 40,000 years ago. No phone, no internet, no electricity, no Netflix, and definitely no food delivery. You wake up, walk outside, and there's a very real chance something with enormous teeth is waiting for you. But here's the crazy part. Ancient humans weren't the dumb cavemen we sometimes imagine. They were intelligent, creative, and surprisingly advanced. Let's start with something insane. Ancient humans performed surgery. Thousands of years ago, people deliberately made holes in human skulls. The procedure is called trepanation. Someone would use a sharp tool to create an opening in another person's skull. Sounds like the worst doctor's appointment ever. But some patients actually survived. Archaeologists have found skulls where the bone around the opening had started healing. So someone literally had a hole drilled into their head and lived. Meanwhile, I panic when the dentist says, "This might hurt a little." Ancient humans also created incredible art. Some cave paintings are more than 30,000 years old. They painted horses, lions, bison, deer, and other animals, sometimes with amazing detail. Imagine walking into a cave today and discovering a beautiful painting made tens of thousands of years ago. You can't ask the artist who made it, you can't search for them online, you can't even leave a comment saying, "Great work." They're gone by about 30,000 years. And here's something people don't usually associate with prehistoric humans: fashion. Ancient humans wore jewelry made from shells, beads, animal teeth, and other materials. So even thousands of years ago, humans were basically saying, survival is important, but I also need to look good. And then there's one of humanity's oldest friendships: dogs. Humans eventually domesticated wolves, creating the dogs we know today. The original deal was probably simple. The wolf gets food, the human gets protection. Thousands of years later, somehow the dog gets the food, the bed, the toys, and sometimes its own Instagram account. The human gets the bills. We definitely lost that negotiation. Ancient humans also hunted enormous animals. We're talking about mammoths and giant bison. A mammoth could weigh several tons. And these hunters didn't have guns, cars, or modern equipment. They had stone tools, wooden weapons, teamwork, and a very strong desire not to become mammoth food. They had to plan carefully, understand animal behavior, and work together. And then things get even more impressive. Ancient humans crossed oceans. Modern humans reached Australia at least around 50,000 years ago, possibly earlier. No GPS, no Google Maps, no modern ships, just humans using their knowledge of the sea, the environment, and the sky. These people weren't simply wandering around. They were explorers. Then there was the Ice Age. Imagine living in brutal cold, surrounded by enormous predators, with no central heating. Your heating system? Fire. Your winter clothes? Animal skins. Your supermarket? Whatever you could hunt or gather. And somehow, humans survived. They built shelters, developed tools, controlled fire, and adapted to environments that would make most of us immediately search for the nearest warm country. But perhaps the strangest fact is that Homo sapiens wasn't the only human species around. Neanderthals lived alongside our ancestors. Denisovans existed too. For thousands of years, different kinds of humans shared the planet. And here's where it gets really interesting. Homo sapiens actually had children with some of these other human populations. That's why some people alive today carry Neanderthal DNA, while some populations also carry Denisovan DNA. So the human family tree isn't really a straight line. It's more like someone dropped a plate of spaghetti on the floor. And ancient humans did something else that was incredibly important. They took care of each other. Archaeologists have found people who survived serious injuries that would have made hunting or traveling extremely difficult. That suggests other members of their group helped them. They shared food, They protected each other. They cared for children and injured people. Human survival wasn't just about being strong. It was about cooperation. And finally, here's perhaps the most fascinating fact. Ancient humans weren't fundamentally less intelligent than us. A human living 40,000 years ago had the same basic kind of brain, capable of learning language, solving problems, creating art, and planning ahead. They didn't have computers or modern science, but they had the biological machinery to learn them. If you took a baby from 40,000 years ago and raised that child in today's world, there's no obvious reason they couldn't eventually learn mathematics, science, music, engineering, or even programming. The difference wasn't necessarily the brain. It was the technology and knowledge available to them. So the next time you picture an ancient human as someone walking around with a club grunting at a fire, remember, they survived predators. They crossed oceans. They survived ice ages. They created art. They invented tools. They cared for each other. And they laid the foundations for the world we live in today. They didn't have Wi-Fi, but somehow they still managed to survive.